Snacks.
What it do, snackers and snackettes? This is your boy Gage. Sins in the building.
Yes, sir.
Jokes. You're
Yo.
in the building. I appreciate you both being here. You are now tuned in to Cutscenes, where we get together once a week and we talk about things that are happening in video games because cutscenes are
the best part of the game.
Show you right. Thank y'all for tuning in. We are going to be doing our E3 overall reactions, favorite moments, all that jiggy jazz right there. It's been a long week. We have live streamed a lot and moved along a lot and talked about a lot. So if you were present for any of that, you're probably going to hear some of that again. But that's how it goes. The show is officially over. But before we get into digging into that, we gotta talk about a little bit of news.
Okay.
I'm gonna start by saying, called it. I was right. Pay close attention to the things that are happening around you. So there was a what up, Marcus?
What up, Marcus?
There was an article that came out on Xbox Wire today. It's basically a recap of what happened at Xbox's E3 conference, which is cute and all, but that's not the important part. I'm gonna read to you the important part.
Okay.
Cool.
The article itself, Will Tuttle wrote this article. He is the editor-in-chief for Xbox Wire. He used to work at IGN a long time ago. But anyway, Xbox unveils its biggest exclusive games lineup ever. Which, when E3 happens, it's always the biggest lineup.
Yeah, that's what you hear every time. Yeah.
It's always the best show ever. And they go into for 20 years, Xbox has been focusing on this, that, and the third. And now we got 23 studios and all of that, right? Like all of that. But if you dig in to what they're talking about, let's see. You'll see many games this holiday, including Forza Horizon 5 with DirectX ray tracing on Series X and S, Battlefield 2042 to run at 60 frames per second, supporting 128 players on Series X and S. Some games launching next year from first-party studio partners, Starfield and Redfall and Stalker 2, all of that stuff. All that stuff we talked about and are probably going to talk about again. Who that is. And I'm going to tell you where it gets interesting. So right after that, it says, we're excited to see developers realize their visions in ways that only next-gen hardware will allow them to do. For the millions of people who play on Xbox One consoles today, we are looking forward to sharing more about how we will bring many of these next-gen games, such as Microsoft Flight Simulator, to your console through Xbox Cloud Gaming, just like we do mobile devices, tablets, and browsers. Buried in the joint. But I told y'all this was going to be a thing. All those old Xboxes, Xbox Ones, collecting dust. You upgraded, didn't trade. You bought a PS5, didn't buy an Xbox Series, but you still got an Xbox One. You went and accidentally bought yourself an Xbox One X instead of a Series X when they came out, because that's how Amazon was rolling. Now you got this box, and yeah, there are games you can play, and yes, they're allowing you. Slim, the cloud, it works on your phone. It's going to work on your TV. They're going to give you a dongle. Why wouldn't it work on your old console? Now, I've heard people going, I'm not sure what this is really for. I feel like people who, really want to play the latest and greatest games would have already saved up and bought a series or, whatever. I disagree. They're not that hard to find. That's one.
And two, after the year we've just had, you know what I mean? Like, money could be very tight.
People's money could be very tight.
Yeah.
3, you're hearing all this stuff about this Game Pass thing and all these games and whatever, and you're starting to hear things about the cloud and just use the old console, right? Or you did get a new one. You're moving it to another room, or you're giving it to the kids so the kids have something to play. Like, let me just be very, very clear. I've been considering buying a Series S. I don't have to. I don't have to.
Not now, you don't. Not with that. Nah.
There are 1S's, S's, and a 1X, and a 1.
And a 1.
I gave the 1 to K. K has the 1. All in the house, though. I just put them on different TV. Go play somewhere else. Y'all get out of my face. Remember when the Wii U came out and one of the selling points was you want to go in a room and watch TV, but the kids are playing? Take the little tablet and go play somewhere, man. Which you couldn't really do. Like, you couldn't even, like, you could maybe get to the next room with the Wii U. Like,
that was about it.
Hey, that thing range was weak.
Go in the corner.
Lie, dog.
That thing range was weak.
They lie. You better sit down on the same couch and play that joint, put some headphones on. You ain't going nowhere.
That's about it.
Mind, like, listen, this is the move. This is what it is. We're not worried about selling you a new console, because by the end of this month, we're switching all of our Xbox One blades that are running our cloud to Xbox Series X blades to run the cloud. That's what it is. That's the move that they're making.
Clean.
You know what I'm saying? I also heard, I'm gonna have y'all chime in on this a little bit, but I also heard, people talking about, well, it's clearly it's run on an old console, and even though it's cloud, like, cloud's not gonna run as well as the console, so, like, it's probably holding things back and whatever. I want to get y'all's opinion, because I've been hearing this a lot. We've been hearing it for a minute now, but I've been hearing this a lot. There are a lot of people who seem to believe that video games are held back by the lowest common denominator. If you have to create a game and that game has to be able to run, on a lower performing console, that the higher performing one is suffering. Have y'all heard this?
Definitely have heard that.
Pretty sure we've talked about it. Where do you fall on it? Do y'all think that's true?
I would say years ago, I could see how that type of thinking made sense. But I think just seeing where technology's gone and where it's going and everything, one, it makes more sense to this, but you also got to look at, in order to push the technology further, I mean, of course, you need, like, the money and all that type of stuff to do it. So the more people you can get into the ecosystem to flip that money around, you know what I'm saying? It's like a working machine. You know what I mean? And I think this makes, I don't think it hurts. I mean, plus you got to let technology get further ahead in order to get out to a certain point for it to make sense to put in your system. You know what I mean? Instead of just trying to cash grab it or anything like that. See, Rocky's chiming in.
The homie Rocky Balnoa says games are optimized by console, and PC, the settings are per PC. So not anymore at all.
And that's how,
in my opinion. And I would agree. I would agree. Is that where you are, Jokes?
That's where I'm at too. Like, I think with the leap and bounds that we've had, obviously on older performing machines or whatnot, you may not be able to necessarily take care of some of or take advantage of some of those higher end, ray tracing and all these extra bells and whistles.
Right.
But for baseline for playing the game, I don't see the problem with it. I think I don't want to say people you try to use that as an excuse. I think when you try to factor in people with the older consoles, you wanna include them in as much as you possibly can. Like, what's up, Leah?
What up,
Um,
Leah?
but I fully
Hey,
understand. You know what?
Leah, I hope your
Hey,
recovery is going well.
like I fully understand when you're like, hey, look, we have this new box, and this thing is gonna push this particular whatever game you want to say it to
What
its
up, Kirk?
possible limits on what it can do. But
Right.
at the same time, we want to respect those that whether, like, say in this particular time, whether you can't get a new console, money is tight or whatnot ever, we want to still respect you in order that you can get it on your console and still play it to a degree that's playable. It's
Yeah,
not
but
going to
that's
be.
is it harming?
I don't think it's diminishing or harming the new one because I feel
Yeah, I
like you
mean,
should.
I could see that, like, your resources as a developer
Mhm.
are are much more strained if you're developing for multiple consoles.
Mhm.
Period. Whether you're developing at lower tier or higher tier. Um, I hope you're good to go by AwesomeCon too. Hopefully, we'll see you there,
Absolutely.
Leah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think, yeah, like in terms of like the amount of money and time and people you have on your payroll and how it might stress you. If you take Cyberpunk as an example, the quote unquote, and I'm gonna say excuse, it's the reason they gave, but I'm gonna say excuse because things turned out terrible. If things had turned out well, then it would just be a reason. But when things go
Mhm.
bad, it's called an excuse. That's just how things are.
Excuse.
So, KB, we're talking about whether or not game development, like games themselves, are held back by having to develop for the lowest common denominator console. Um, Again, like if you have to use your resources to make sure that this game runs well on this console and this console and this console, and you know what I mean, you're going across 4
Mhm.
plus PC or whatever, I can certainly see the developer being strained
Strain a little bit.
and that going away if you're only developing, say, for one console, right? / one platform. But the idea of again, like games have, in my opinion, you believe that 100% that like they're held back. Here's where I'm at. Um, there have always been games on PC that have always run across a myriad of PC strengths. Like they'll tell
Mhm.
you this is the minimum,
Minimum just for it to run
right?
in the recommended settings
But
that you run the.
technically, there's no maximum, right? Like you could run Crisis, optimize at the full settings. If you had a PC that could do it, you could run the joint in potato mode. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
you can run it in potato mode. You can run that joint with no textures, looking terrible, or at a slow frame rate or whatever. Hey Heather, and it didn't keep the developer from making the game and making it so that it's still the technical marvel that it is on a PC that can run it. I don't think console development is any different from that. To me, if that was the case, then you can't get away with making a PlayStation 4 Pro while there's a PlayStation 4. Right? So like if you're it wouldn't make sense, right? Because you would never be able to get the most out of a PlayStation 4 Pro as long as you're still having develop games that run on a PlayStation 4. Like that doesn't make any sense, right? That's almost like saying that if on paper right now the Xbox Series X is a more powerful console than the PlayStation 5. And that's like saying you should not develop for both of those because the PlayStation 5 is holding back the abilities of the Xbox Series X. Like that doesn't make sense to me because I feel like the way the developers develop is yeah, here's the highest common denominator. We know we can't go past this, but it's, you know what I'm saying? Like that's just kind of where I'm at. Like it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And I was, you know, just in terms of them being like, yeah, you're going to be able to play Microsoft Flight Simulator, which is destroying PCs right now.
Yeah, I was going to say
that joint is bringing PCs to their knees right now.
Humbling those PCs, like, oh, you think you a high end PC? Run me,
right? And that's literally that's the case they used when they made the statement. For those of you who are still playing on Xbox One consoles, we're excited to bring you news about how you're going to be able to play games like Microsoft Flight Simulator from the cloud on your console. That's what we're talking about. The cloud is going to enable, even if you had that as a theory, like honestly, listen to people still say, well, it's the cloud and whatever, and it'll never run as good as it does. Sure. Right. Latency is a thing, you know, whatever. And, you know, I'm saying, like, we'll get there, but it's doing that, and it's going to do it on your phone, and it's doing it on tablets right now. You can game stream to your PC right now through a browser. It worked with Stadia. A lot of people played Assassin's Creed. You know what I mean? Like directly, like it's just kind of what it is. KB said, oh, okay. Rocky says, I think the big problem is they're being held back because games are marketed towards kids a lot, holding them back from costing more, resulting in less quality at the end of the day. Games going to $70 is a good example. So yes and no. And I'm gonna touch on that because the other day we just talked about how right now there's a lot of people who are upset because if you look at Battlefield 2042, next gen $70. PCs that run it better than next gen consoles, $60. They're literally just calling it a console tax. So, yeah, you're trying to make sure that kids can play and then they get in. Here's the thing. Most of the stuff kids are playing that makes the most money is all free, which is why I don't think Battlefield is going to survive.
Minecraft,
because they didn't
Fortnite,
say it was going to Game Pass. Roblox. That was the one thing I was expecting.
That was the one thing, like, because that $70 tag on if it would at least had a campaign where you had the flexibility of playing either or. Because I mean, let's be real here. There's people, and Gage, you're one of them, that would prefer to play if the campaign has a good story, a good mode. You'd rather get in, play that. You'll probably
the multiplayer at all.
You'll never touch the multiplayer. Yeah, but you're completely out of that now. Like, not saying I don't think you probably would have spent $7 on Battlefield anyway. But like, say if that campaign looked good, story sounded good, you know, you may have been on the edge and say, you know what, I may want to go ahead and jump into this.
I may consider it.
But no, not at this point now. Game Pass, like we just said, Halo, when we was talking during E3, multiplayer looks phenomenal. Just in what we was looking at. And that joint is free. And you telling me there's a good chance, like it's dropping holiday, so there's a good chance that could almost align itself with where Battlefield will come out at. And if you tell me I can get the multiplayer on Halo for free versus paying $70 for Battlefield, which I may not even like once I get it.
I mean, listen, Battlefield not being on Game Pass, I mean, I could see how you might feel like that's good for Xbox, right? Because they just would rather have people playing Halo than they would have people playing Battlefield. But I actually think you're wrong in that because I don't think Microsoft gives a shit what you're playing. As long as you're playing on, like as long as you're in Game Pass, as long as they have the numbers to say, look how many people are playing in Game Pass. Look at what, you know what I'm saying, is happening here. Like, while it could take momentum from something like Halo, the whole point is for them to take momentum from stuff like Call of Duty. Mm-hmm. And they won't, which means Battlefield is more than likely just going to die.
I agree. I agree. I feel like Battlefield people, they play Battlefield. Call of Duty people play Call of Duty. Halo people play Halo. I don't think by putting Battlefield in Game Pass would hurt Halo's numbers at all.
No. I mean, look, I think there's obviously some crossover, right? Like, I think, yes, there are people who are just diehard Call of Duty no matter what you say or no matter what you do. That's what they're going to want to play. I think that the idea, anytime you drop something like this, is that you get more people, you get new people who weren't playing one or the other, or who were playing something else last year or whatever, to jump into what you're doing because that's what your friends are doing, because that's where everybody else is. Because you know what I mean? Like, if you think about it, like in any business, the idea is to make more money the next year, right? And so you can say, well, we're going to make more money because even if we sell the same amount, we're going to up the price by $10. But we spent more money making this game. So we're not necessarily making more money. So the way you make more money is you bring more people into your ecosystem and you continue to hold the market share. The thing about the video games market is that it is growing at a clip that's unlike anything else there is in entertainment. So like if let's just say, for the sake of saying, out of the full 100% of people playing first person shooters, let's just say that Call of Duty has 60% of the market share. Let's just say that that's what they have, 60% of the market share. The market has grown so much, right, that if they have 60% of the market share next year, that means they didn't grow. Like they didn't, like, even if they hold more of the market share than say Battlefield pulls or Halo pulls or Fortnite has, because there's so many more people playing games, that means you haven't done the right thing. There's always new people playing. There's always new people coming in. So if you are fighting for the space of all the new people that are just now getting Game Pass, who don't have to buy a console because now they can just play it on their TV because they could use their old Xbox and still play these games, right? Like, I could just play it on my phone. If you're able to jump into Halo versus being able to jump on Battlefield because of the sheer number, like, again, part of the scheme for Microsoft is there's this many billion people playing games. There's just not that many people playing on console. So we need to go after the market that's doing it elsewhere. So that's PC and that's mobile. That's tablets. How do we do that? We put everything in the cloud. We give them a controller and we let them go. Pay us a monthly fee. And here it is. And you can play your games and you can still pick up and play anywhere. So if playing on that tiny screen starts to bother you, or whatever,
switch on
pick
over.
up and continue playing on your new, on your big TV.
Yep.
And then take it with you. You want to go and everybody's jumping in because let's run a couple strikes or whatever in Destiny 3 when that hits. That's cool, no big deal. I just jump in on my phone. I play with y'all here. When I get home, if y'all still on, I jump on. I jump on the TV. Like, that's a thing. It's gonna be a thing.
Oh, big facts.
So I'm not sure, man. Perp said, I disagree with Battlefield dying. For a lot of people, that was the best game that they seen all E3. So the hype was there. So sure, Perp, was Call of Duty at E3? The answer is no. So if it had been, I seriously doubt that's the case. Again, people were hyped for Battlefield, but the people who are watching E3 who are hyped for Battlefield are talking about being hyped for Battlefield, are also complaining about the fact that it's $70. Are also complaining about the fact that there's no single player, there's just multiplayer, and it's still $70. Those people who saw it there didn't have Call of Duty to compare it to, and Call of Duty already came out and said, yeah, in like a couple of months, we're going to do our new reveal. And when they do that, it could take all the wind out of the sails. You're talking about a 4-day span. We're talking about the whole year. We're talking about everything else that's coming out throughout the rest of the year. We're not talking about whether or not Battlefield did better than Call of Duty at E3. We're talking about whether or not Battlefield survives into next year, through next year, because Fortnite is still free. You know what I'm saying?
And they show
because regardless of how much you think about it or not, people are still playing PUBG.
Yeah, that's
because Halo's multiplayer is going to be free, not Game Pass free. Free.
Yeah.
Like Fortnite free. You know what I'm saying? There's a difference between Game Pass free and Fortnite free. Free. Like Warzone is free. But you could be excited about Battlefield. There's going to be some great moments. The question is, can it maintain it? Right? Will it have enough people in there? How long is it going to take you to get into servers over time? All of that kind of stuff. The things that are important about keeping people playing a live service game because they can. versus choosing something else. If you have to make a decision this holiday, next summer, about whether you play Battlefield for $70 or you keep playing Call of Duty for free, chances are you're going to keep playing Call of Duty. And you might give Halo a try because it's free, Fortnite free. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's the difference. Realistically, I would love to see Battlefield outdo Call of, because I think Battlefield is actually better than Call of Duty. I think that the insane maps and the destruction and the sheer number of players and whatever, like, I think that Battlefield, I think DICE does a phenomenal job as a single developer developing that game versus what Activision does with Call of Duty and rotating like 3 or 4 developers in and out to do it every year, which is why the games always have a different feel. This one's not quite as good as the last one. I like the multiplayer in this, but not as much as this. And then they try to drag this multiplayer and tie it in with that. Like, it's actually getting convoluted. You know what I mean? Is it Modern Warfare? Is it Black Ops? Is it, you know what I mean? Like, it's all just super convoluted. Halo's just going to be Halo.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just, that's what it is. Rocky said the last Halo proved they have some work to prove themselves a tiny bit, but the trailers was insane. Hey, listen, I agree. Hey, look, people didn't like the Halo 5 multiplayer suffered because the campaign got a bad rap. People didn't like the campaign. That hurt sales of the game and therefore hurt numbers in the multiplayer for Halo 5. But go and do your research. People who play Halo 5 multiplayer love it.
Mm-hmm.
They love it. Now, they still have Master Chief Collection multiplayer to go back and play. If they decide I'd rather do Halo 2 or 3 or Reach or whatever, like, they can still do that and mix and match maps and all that. I think this is looking to usurp that. Again, to me, sure, Fortnite and what it's done to the industry is a part of the reason why Halo multiplayer is free. But I guarantee you that when you have a game that is a service game that you intend to make money off of via sales or whatever over the long run, if people have to pay for it to get it and it's tied to a campaign and the campaign gets a bad score or the overall game gets a bad score because you can't disconnect the multiplayer from the single player because it's all in one package, you have to treat them like one package. So if people give the game a 6,
they're thinking
instead of a 9, then nobody's playing the multiplayer because even if they would never play the single player, they're not playing it. I think that's really, what it comes down to. First says, but also most people that don't like Halo never played Halo. They're the ones I see complain the most about the franchise. Listen, all the people who complain are the loud minority all the time. It's always the loud minority. Yes, there's people who are complaining about it, who never play it, haven't played it, don't care about it. They played Resistance.
Oh man.
Man. It's and that's fine, right? Like the complaining about what Halo single player looked like when they showed it, it doesn't even matter anymore because when they showed the multiplayer,
everybody forgot about it. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Everybody was just like, I remember that. I want to do that again. That looks dope. You know what I mean? Like, I just think that if Battlefield as a game, right, being developed for the highest high-end consoles, like, clearly if they had they just made an announcement today that they're shutting down the servers for GTA 5 on 360 and PS3.
Yeah.
Just now, right? Lowest common denominator, right? That's not because it's holding back. It's just because the servers are dead and you got to pay money to maintain those servers. And
you got to have people do all that. It ain't worth it.
When you're getting ready to release the newest version of the same game, or whatever.
Again.
Again. You know what I mean? But it's tricky. Pop that on screen. First said, and multiplayer overviews, fire. They should have had that at joining the E3 events. But understanding why why they took it out. I'm really curious to see what they got to show tomorrow with their extended show. Yeah, I'm seriously looking forward to the extended show. Is supposed to be all stuff that they didn't show. So we're supposed to see like Hellblade, 2 and other stuff that wasn't at the show or on the show floor, and we're gonna see some deep dives and some interviews and stuff like that. I'm interested in seeing that too. It's a real interesting direction that we're seeing them go in, and I think that right now they're on a trend. I heard somebody say that they were not disappointed, that they actually enjoyed Microsoft's conference, but that they still felt like Microsoft doesn't have bangers, like exclusive bangers that match like Uncharted or Last of Us or God of War. And I don't know if you can really. I don't think that's the. I mean, I'll ask you this. Sin, does Microsoft need a game that is, I'm gonna say caliber, but like of the caliber of like God of War or Last of Us? Do they need that?
I think they'll get one eventually. I don't think they need it in the direction that they're heading right now. They've been doing fine focusing on the multiplayer kind of aspect thing. I think it'll come in some way, shape, or some gem that'll pop up that becomes like a big thing. And
probably Hellblade.
It could be like who knows, but I think it's will be here sooner rather than later. But I don't think they necessarily need it.
Jokes?
Same boat. I don't think they need it. Like, I think eventually, you know what? When that game presents itself, it's going to be a phenomenal thing. But I feel like they're trying to get it more organically than just trying to say, "Oh, yo, this is the definitive single player game that you're going to buy on the Xbox." I think they really want to get it more from the people who play it, and then as they play it, word of mouth goes along, and then I think that's how they're trying to get to that point. Otherwise, they're going to release tons of single player games that are going to be absolutely amazing, but it's just one may not necessarily, or one is going to eventually outshine the rest of them. And they could also, it may be a first party one, or they may end up saying, you know what, a third party, whoever, we want you to come and be this game on the Xbox to make it shine. Even if it ends up on another platform, we want to do something with you guys that makes it Xbox is the place that you want to play this. But I don't think they need it. But I think organically it will present itself.
So I'm gonna say, you know what? So there was a time, for a long time, when I felt like the position that Microsoft was in, that was what they were missing. That's what everybody was asking for. This wasn't really a thing that was necessarily just a Sony thing. This was like, think about what happened with Battlefront. Battlefront came out, didn't have a story mode. It was all multiplayer. And people were like, it's Star Wars. We want a story. Like, we want that. So Battlefront 2 comes out. They put a single player story in it. Nah, like people were asking for that. There was a time when I felt like, Microsoft needs that third person, over the shoulder, story driven, single player. Like they need that thing that Sony has. Now I don't think so. I changed my mind on that. See, I think part of the problem is that so much of Sony. One, I slightly disagree with you, Kay, when you say that story-driven kind of game seems to bring in more the casual gamer, and that market share. Microsoft needs to gain that. Sony is good at that, but I don't think those games bring in casual gamers. I don't think that a game like, it could, but I don't think like a casual gamer is not coming in and playing God of War 2018. Like that's not geared towards them. That's a gamer's game. If I had to say so, right? While I think that the stories that exist in something like The Last of Us could bring in a casual gamer, I don't think that's what that does. As a matter of fact, if you look at the first Last of Us game, the multiplayer in it, people were in love with and played a lot of it. They are, in fact, still doing a multiplayer game that is just a multiplayer game that's separate from Last of Us Part 2. There's something in there. I think that with Sony going the direction they're going and taking these and turning them into movies and stuff like that, that might bring in people who are more casual, who don't really know that this was a game or where it came from or whatever. I think that's a possibility. Do I think that Kratos will jump in Ragnarok? No, I don't think they're gonna let him jump. I don't think so.
That's about it.
That's about it.
But here's the thing: as I've looked at the console exclusives over the lifespan of these two giants in the gaming industry, PlayStation and Xbox. Xbox's success has almost always come from multiplayer. It is Halo, it is Gears of War. Even with Forza, they went and did Forza Horizon, which has multiplayer. Right? Games like Fusion Frenzy, like they really literally based their initial console like it had 4 ports on it. Right? So they have leaned themselves into multiplayer, into people playing together. They leaned into playing online and people being able to get together and play online, which is why Xbox Live, or what is now Xbox Network, is so robust by comparison, right? Sony, especially coming through the PlayStation 3 era, which is where a lot of these current franchises got their initialization, your Uncharted and so forth. Yeah, it makes more sense for them to lean into single-player, story-driven games when your network isn't as good and somebody can hack it and you're down for a long time, right? So if you look at the sales of those games for Microsoft, they always outsell Sony's exclusives. Part of the reason for that is because more people need to buy them because they want to play them together. So even if you have somebody, I think you're way more likely to have somebody who is quote unquote a casual gamer who just jumps in periodically or whatever, to have Game Pass and jump into Halo and play Halo with their buddies because their buddies are playing Halo.
I was gonna say there's more longevity on that side rather with Sony's side, because I'll get, Last of Us, Uncharted, all those. I'll play them, have a great time, and beat them. But then I've beaten them. Now I'm moving on to something else. But with like Halo, Gears of War stuff, Forza,
there's always something that's extra, and they're gonna add new stuff to it.
Constantly,
they're always gonna add new stuff to it. Single player, you can only do but so much. Most of the time, you can add your extra little stories and things to it, but it's like once you go through and burn through it. It's
trophy hunt, yeah, of course. But once you're done, then that's over. You know what I mean? Or over here, I'm with Halo. I'm moving back into multiplayer with you guys, or whatever, and just keep on growing, keep on pushing the content.
I mean, look, KB, I hear you. I mean, I'm if you feel like a more casual gamer would play God of War over Gears of War,
Halo dead.
Listen, you might be right.
True.
You might be right, but the number of casual gamers you're likely to capture with God of War versus the number of people who somebody who is a gamer says to their friend, yo, just grab this joint. Matter of fact, I'll buy you a copy. Let's just jump in and play. And then they just end up having a good time and they play it because, you know what I'm saying, it's there and they can play it together. It changes that. I listen, Pepsi Man, Metal Gear Solid versus Halo. Halo wins every time. Period. People love the Metal Gear franchise, but it's a stupid story that's convoluted and hard to follow and doesn't really make a lot of sense or whatever.
That
doesn't mean it doesn't have great gameplay mechanics and people like it.
I enjoy it, but the game makes no sense.
No sense at all.
Take that from me. Like I love Metal Gear Solid 2 is my favorite, but good God,
Lord no. But I love the characters, and 3 was probably my favorite.
Yeah, I mean, hold on. Big Halo old head. The events were all. Listen, if like the fall that Halo has had again, I think it has way more to do with the story. So the smartest thing that they could do is separate those two.
Separate it, yeah.
Yep.
So they don't run into that problem like they did with 5. Yeah.
If the Halo Infinite story is utter garbage and nobody likes it, and it gets 3s, dog, across the board, it's got like a 3 Metacritic.
That multiplayer.
It has nothing to do with the multiplayer. It's a completely separate thing that everybody's just in and playing and having a good time with, and it will not hurt sales because people are still going to be in there trying to get the new armor and buying whatever they're going to be buying for cosmetics and dealing with season pass stuff and all of that kind of stuff.
Getting that samurai armor.
That allows for 343 as a studio to have an out if it turns out that the story don't quite catch with people. You know what I'm saying? Like that just gives them that ability to do that. You're right, Perk. People forget how much money Halo 5 made. That's for all of what people said about it and the scores it got or whatever. That joint made a ridiculous amount of money. It had a ridiculous amount of sales. And again, it's a game that when you go, Halo coming out, all 4 of us got to get it. We squadding up. We got to do it. You know what I mean? So you sell more copies.
Appreciate it, Doc.
Appreciate you. Per says, but on who on Sony's side is bigger than Master Chief himself? He's definitely crossed over. I mean, listen, Master Chief been around for a long time. I think Kratos. If you look at Sony and you go, well, who are the characters that you could put in front of people? I do think that there's something to be said for. Here's what I think is very important about what Sony is doing that is different from what Xbox is doing. Sony is cashing in on the nostalgia of characters they own. Mm-hmm. Because people do love Ellie. You can only take that story but so much further, though. That's basically over, right? People love Nathan Drake. But that's pretty much over, right? You can't really do much more with that. Now, they might. If they're doing a movie and a show and it's Tom Holland and who does well, they might have to do something with Nathan and show him younger or whatever it is, right? But when you think about it, like, Nintendo continues to exist off of the nostalgia factor that is Mario. I'm going to hold y'all hand for a second while we do this.
Whoa.
I don't care about Mario games at all anymore. Mario Odyssey is a very well put together game. I just don't care anymore. It doesn't matter to me. And realistically, kids don't care anymore. It is grown men and women who are picking up Mario and are nostalgic for it. They're the ones who know the difference between which one's Link and which one's Zelda. It is purely nostalgia and the money that these grown people have that work these jobs in IT or whatever are spending their money to get Switches and whatever. That is not a thing that has to do with children. What Nintendo is doing successfully is Splatoon. Because we don't really care about Splatoon. But they will. We just had this conversation yesterday about how the nostalgia that Jokes has is different from the nostalgia that I have because I want to throw up because he's nostalgic for Beast Wars. Get out of here. You understand what I'm saying? So Sony is like, if you take a Ratchet and Clank, again, Ratchet and Clank, that's not a system seller, but it is technically the most important and biggest PlayStation 5 exclusive. And it might only be possible on PlayStation 5 because of the SSD. Because I guarantee you, otherwise, it would be on PlayStation 4. They want that money. They need that money. They can't sell enough systems. You see what I'm saying? But it's the nostalgia factor for Ratchet and for Clank. It ain't, oh, these are the greatest games ever.
Nope. Because if love Ratchet and Clank.
As a developer, Spider-Man outsold everything they've ever done. Period. That joint sold consoles. They made a console. That doesn't happen. That's never happened for Ratchet and Clank.
Nope.
Even though Ratchet and Clank has always been exclusive to them, even when they didn't own Insomniac. Right now, the kids who are playing as a parent with an 11, almost 12-year-old, they're playing Fortnite, they're playing Roblox, like their characters are ugly. They don't have, like, it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. we can go back to the nostalgia of how we felt. This is the thing that Microsoft really pushed at the conference. When they showed that multiplayer trailer, everybody remembered playing Halo. Oh my God, this looks like whatever. Look at the calling out the names of this. That's a ghost, and this is like that's what did it. There was a nostalgia there for the fun that people had playing that game together. Sure, Master Chief is a thing, but he's faceless. People have more feelings about Cortana than they do about Master Chief. She had a face. People don't even know what Master Chief looks like. It's not the same thing. Y'all firing it up in here. So let me just grab a couple of things.
Yeah.
Okay, the characters only hold so much nostalgia, but Sony continues to prove that they can make new characters. I don't love Horizon, but I believe Aloy will be around for some time. I'm gonna tell you what. I'm not so sure. Again, but let's talk about this. Crash Bandicoot. It's on everything, but people associate it with being a Sony thing because it was exclusive there for a long time.
Good long time. Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? For a long time. So Crash Bandicoot, the character is important to people. Look at what happened when Microsoft got Tomb Raider as an exclusive title. Yep. People flipped they lit because they know
they lost it.
Raw. You know what I'm saying? Like they're familiar with the character. People know Kratos. I don't know that people know Kratos' name. They see him. Oh, that's the God of War dude. I don't know that he holds quite that, or at least he didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he does now. But I'm gonna tell you what. Do kids know Kratos?
Was he in God of War? I mean, not God of War. Was he
Fortnite? I was about to say
yes. They probably do now.
Hey, mom.
But you know who else
got his own game?
You know who else in Fortnite?
Master Chief.
Yep.
Mom, the dude that came out the freezer. He got his own game. We gotta get it.
People go nuts. Kids don't play Tekken. I don't know no kids that play Tekken.
Yeah.
People went nuts over Kazuya being released with Smash Brothers.
Kids probably lost it.
There were people who were so amped when what's the name came from King of Fighters to why can't I think of his name? To Smash.
Oh, Terry Bogard?
Terry.
Fatal Fury, yeah.
But they had to like do a whole thing about who he is and where he comes from and whatever. Because kids don't know. They don't care. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It's our nostalgia. It's ours. People care about Ellie. They seen her grow up. But you can say the same thing about Clementine from the
Walking Dead Telltale series.
You know what I'm saying? But that's done now, right? Right now, you can go on any streaming service and you can watch a show where you can find yourself in tune with a particular character. How long that continues to last and how important that is a you know what I mean? But can you get people into your ecosystem now and create memories for them right now that will carry them until they're our age, till they're 30, 40, you know, whatever. And when you do it again, they're like, oh, I remember that. I hated Nintendo's presentation. Mario Party. I don't care about Mario Party. People were amped. I was like, I'm wrong.
Oh, they said Nintendo saved E3. I'm over here like
what? Like, what? They took all the best stuff from Mario Party and put it in one game. Sure. Mario Party Greatest Hits. Have at it. Right? They're all characters you know. But again, kids don't care. There was no kids going nuts about that. Right? Go up to a kid right now and ask them who Donkey Kong is.
That ain't happening.
Yeah.
That is not happening.
They don't care. They can tell you the names of characters who aren't actually anybody in Fortnite, though. You know what I'm saying? So, like, realistically, the point of whether or not it's important for Microsoft to follow the path and trajectory that Sony has been on as far as creating single player, whatever. I think that the mistakes that Microsoft has made that actually held them back over the last 7 or 8 years has been chasing Sony's coattails, trying to get something that falls in that lane, trying to, like, we need JRPGs, we need JRPGs, we need JRPGs. No, you don't. You need Western RPGs, because all JRPGs are based on Western RPGs. If you go back and you look at the history, Final Fantasy is based on games that were Western RPGs that were on PC before there was ever a Final Fantasy. That's what it is, right? Microsoft took that. That's just like, you only getting Western RPGs from BioWare now, and pray that they're good. Because basically everybody else that does it, and does it with any kind of, you know what I'm saying, it makes any money doing it that people love, Microsoft owns them now.
Yep.
You want a single player story driven game? It's called the next Skyrim. It's called Starfield. You know what I'm saying?
Elder Scrolls.
That's what they have. Is it necessary then for them to follow the same path that Sony is making? No. That's how they got into trouble, trying to find something to match Uncharted. So they paid to have Lara Croft Tomb Raider, and people went, no, you can't do it. They only did that because Uncharted was supposed to come out that same holiday, and then Uncharted got pushed back. That was it. We don't even want the whole joint. We just need the exclusivity window so we can sell this holiday. That's it. That's the mistake that they have been making. Right now, what they're doing is they are carving their own path. They are now putting Sony in a position where what we've been saying over the last few months is, y'all better do what Microsoft doing. I know y'all better get you a Game Pass. I know y'all better get in the cloud. They are getting in the cloud. You know how they doing it? Through Microsoft.
They're over there. Can we get a little bit of
Microsoft has always had its most success when carving their own path. Right? Doing Xbox Live, charging people to play online. They carved their own path, became the biggest thing. That's what everybody has to do now. Putting a hard drive in the console, they did their own thing. That's what everybody has to do now, right? Putting an Ethernet port on the back of the system so people can play online. They did their own thing. They carved that out. That's what people have to do now. Putting a first-person shooter on a console that wasn't GoldenEye and making it work, they did that. Nobody else did that. Everything else that followed, there is no Call of Duty on console without Halo. You could maybe go trace it back to GoldenEye. I'll maybe give you that. You know what I'm saying? But the mistake, in my opinion, that they've been making is trying to do what Sony was doing and doing really well.
And that was
listening to the minority people complaining on Twitter and complaining whatever. Where's Microsoft? Microsoft has no games. You can't say that. That's not true. Because the reality of it is, even games that Sony had like that, a lot of them were done by third parties. Even if they were exclusive, they were done by third parties. So Microsoft could just be like they don't have to have their studios do it. All they have to do is scoop them up.
Yeah.
All they really have to do is say it's in Game Pass. They're not trying to keep it from you. If anything, they want you to see that there's a differential between having to spend $70 for a game and not.
And you know what? It's working. It's working. Because like right now, I was reading an article earlier today. The Series S in Japan right now,
it's selling.
You cannot find it.
Can't get them.
They are getting on the shelf and they are gone like this.
Yeah.
The lift that they have seen just from the Series S alone in Japan is insane. And obviously Japan flocks the PlayStation right off the break.
And
but now
I told you when I was out there though, and I went into electronics store just seeing what games were out there, PlayStation section was so massive, and I'm not lying. It was like Xbox was like half the size of my desk.
Yeah. But now,
a couple shelves, like y'all don't. Like Nintendo was big too.
The Series S, you know what? Over there, apparently you can get them. You can't get a PlayStation still, so you get the Series S, cheaper price, Game Pass, and you know what? You want to I was talking about Final Fantasy. You can get pretty much almost every. Well, you can get every Final Fantasy game inside the Game Pass in some shape or form,
right?
And go through and play it.
I mean, they said that ever since they made Sea of Thieves has Japanese language. It's been like crazy over there. Hey, listen, I just want to say, Doc, you forced that on your son. Your son knows Donkey Kong because you know Donkey Kong, or because he played Raving Rabbids or something, or maybe y'all played Mario Party together. But like, when was the last time it was a? Has he ever played? When was the last time a Donkey Kong game came out?
Was it something on GameCube?
They were talking about having one. It was a rumor that there was going to be one this year.
Yeah.
Nintendo said, "Oh no, No, there's tons of games that we have in production, but we're not going to show those to you today.
Too.
We're not going to show you those today.
I mean, look at it. My favorite thing in Nintendo's conference was Metroid. And I was like, I want a 2D Metroid. Like, that's what it needs to be. But that's my old ass speaking. Like, that's me just being like, but no, I like old 2D Metroid.
And coming from me, who I've never played any of the 2D Metroids, but to me, that was probably the biggest thing that stood out during their conference. Yeah, Breath of the Wild 2, we already knew was coming. So I'm like, I'm not super pumped off of that.
Yeah.
But that 2D Metroid that was like, oh, well, we're not getting Metroid Prime 4 yet. But hey,
do a search for Metroid Dread. They announced that joint back in like 2013 or something like that. Like that joint got announced like a long time ago. It's an old game. It was like, yeah, we going, you know what I mean?
I gotta see that.
My personal opinion has become that Microsoft has started to carve out their own space that now, and they're starting to grab So what they're doing is they're grabbing market share in gaming that didn't exist. New people are coming in, right? A lot of that created by Nintendo with the Switch, right? That's where your casual gamers really are. Your casual gamers are Animal Crossing. Like I don't think a person who picks up God of War is a casual gamer. That's not like, because Animal Crossing is essentially a perfect mobile game. Like a Harvest Moon, like, you know what I mean? Like Stardew Valley went nuts, made all kinds of crazy money on mobile before it ever got put on any kind of console. And those kind of people were playing those games. And that's the market that Microsoft's been going after, is the people who are just like, well, I have a phone. We have a way for you to play games that are like this, that look like this, that work like this on your phone. We're adding touch controls to these games. You know what I'm saying? So go ahead, jump in and play Minecraft Dungeons. Why not? You know what I mean? It feels to me like it's less about selling people on a character now than it is about selling people on the nostalgia or having a good time or what it is that they're doing in the ecosystem. So Nintendo sold a lot of Switches and marketed as take it with you and play it on the roof with your old friends. There's no kids in any of that advertising. No kids in any of the marketing for the Switch. None of them. None of them. Play this on the train on your way to work. Kids don't got jobs. Kids not having rooftop parties. What are you talking about?
Oh, that was the very first Switch joke.
Facts.
They got them on the Switch, like at the park, playing pickup basketball, sitting on a picnic table, playing 1-2 Switch. There's no kids in the park. None of them. That's not how it works. It's not what they do. It's not the same thing. Very different. Yeah, no.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with that.
Not at all. Not at all. They made that game so heavily. Listen, all the God of Wars have had story, and they're relatively deep. I mean, they're based on mythology. The implications of what this game is, they are so deep. It's not even the slightest bit casual. Like, I suppose you could play it casually, but just if you're chasing the armor or trying to get all the pieces or whatever, like that's different. But again, there are people who I would say are more casual gamers who are like, all they do is play the Division because they can just sink their time into it and they can learn all the ins and outs of it and they don't necessarily play anything else. But if the Division was free, oh, by the way, they're doing a free Division.
Yep. The Heartland.
But Battlefield is $70 for multiplayer only?
It doesn't make any sense.
If it is so reminiscent of the mistakes that they made by dropping like Titanfall 2 and Battlefield at the same time with Call of Duty, like 3 weeks apart. They just bam, 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 or whatever. Like it sounds like the same kind of thing. Like EA just like.
You think EA's going to try to get that holiday money, and then after the holiday's over, be like, all right, we're going to Game Pass now?
Maybe.
Possibly.
Maybe. It could just be if they don't see the numbers, or if the numbers start to drop off. It could be that they're waiting to see what the Call of Duty reveal is. It could be any number of things, right? But to me, create the threat. Create the threat. If you would say you can't afford to just make the game free, like Microsoft is doing with Halo, if you don't think you can do that, which again, EA got tons of money. They could make the joint free and put the cosmetics in. But you also have to remember that EA suffers from being the worst company in all of gaming to most people. And everything that EA does, if there's money to be had or whatever, people see it as a quick cash grab. Like, you can't have microtransactions in a Star Wars game. You can't, you know what I mean? Like, it's an issue for them. So, you know, maybe they're waiting to see what happens. I know that they're seeing the numbers that come from Game Pass because it's in there. P. Hines did an interview with GameSpot today and talked about what they have been seeing in terms of lift with just stuff like Fallout 76. Like how crazy it is, the sheer number of people that are playing because the joint is in Game Pass. You know what I mean? And people telling other people, like, yeah, just download the joint. Let's jump in and let's play. You know what I mean? And therefore,
conversations all the time.
Pay that $1, get this 3 months. Get in this Game Pass.
Hey, you see something just in there? Something's co-op. Let's grab and try it out. We all go, all right.
Exactly.
What we talking about? I ain't trying to pay that $40 right now. I ain't trying to spend that.
What did we play the other day? Sniper Elite.
Sniper Elite
4? Sniper Elite 4, yeah.
I would never buy that game.
Never. I seen that joke come out every single time. I was like, Sniper Elite, just don't look.
And I'm the resident sniper. Still wouldn't buy it.
And no, say that joint wasn't like
we
was having the realest good time almost ever. Pop will have this set up on screen. Animal Crossing is not as real-time investive as GameCube was. It's as chiller and intense as a player wants. The money is so easy. You know, here's the thing. I think the thing about Animal Crossing for a lot of people is like the day-night cycle thing and like how it affects like what you can see and do, like based on the time that you like, what time of day you can actually play. Still, again, that's an important thing, right? Like if you don't have to sink as much time in it, but people are sinking the time in anyway. A lot of people were stuck at home, nothing else to do, whatever. I'm gonna buy this thing, and you know what I mean? And they just started playing it, right? Like they did a talk show in that joint. Like it's, you know what I mean? Like that's a real thing. Hey, look, since we was already on E3, this is what I want to know. Sin.
Yeah.
Grade the E3 event as a whole. The whole thing.
Like a number grade or a letter grade, like.
Yeah, but.
Okay.
Do you want to include Summer Game Fest?
No. That's its own separate thing. Let's just focus on E3.
All right. Give me a grade.
D.
What happened?
D.
Okay. Jokes?
I'm gonna say C. It was average. Like, I feel like if Xbox wasn't there and probably Ubisoft, like honestly, they probably.
Okay, is that a 3 out of 10? A 3 out of 5?
I know a 3. That's a lot. So you got 3 out of 100, but it was just average. Like, and the thing is, a lot of people are blaming E3, but I'm like, you can't blame E3. E3 doesn't control what developers bring to the conference. It's like, oh, Ubisoft, you want in? Bet.
Nah, but Ubisoft's conference was clean.
No. I'm just using Ubisoft as an example of someone coming in 3 out of 10. But
I don't know. All right, so personally, I'm gonna say a C. I'm gonna say a C, because you can't count Elden Ring. I mean, like we got shown that right before. You know, I mean, it was there, but I'm gonna say a 3. I think the issue this year for E3 was that, I think for the first time doing it as an all online event, they struggled to keep it together. What we're used to is it's in an actual place and people go there, and we just get a couple of conferences. Like we have the major conferences from Nintendo and Xbox because Sony doesn't do a conference anymore. EA is usually there. They usually have EA Play, which has been, in my opinion, relatively weak the last couple of years. But it's usually the Saturday before, or the first like Saturday of E3. Technically, E3 usually doesn't kick off until like that Tuesday and only runs for 3 days. It's usually Tuesday through Thursday. And so the conferences actually usually hit before what is technically supposed to be E3. So that Saturday EA, Sunday Microsoft, Monday night Sony, Tuesday Nintendo, that you kind of have to wait and you get some, it's like it's their day, and then you get some additional interspersed announcements throughout, right? Like normally we'd have got the Xbox conference, on Sunday, and then after that we'd immediately cut, and it would be Major Nelson sitting on stage, interviewing developers, bringing people in, showing you additional games and gameplay from stuff that you saw on stage, but then also giving you stuff you didn't get. And they would do that for like the next 3 days. There would be like 3 more days, right, of that same thing. You had this thing to look forward to. Because this was an all-digital event, and it's the first time they tried to run it digitally, you have people scrambling to like, all right, well, I'll give you, here's our digital presentation. Here's like our thing that we have, you know what I mean, or whatever. Like Ubisoft Forward is still Ubisoft Forward. They're already doing Ubisoft Forwards without E3 being a thing, right? So the question of whether or not they felt like they had to bring more to this versus like, well, we were already going to do a Ubisoft Forward because we didn't know if E3 was even going to be a thing this year. So this is just what we had. And we would have put this out a month ago, but we decided we would hold it off for E3 to try to, you know what I mean, give them something or whatever, right? Like Gearbox had a presentation. They don't need a presentation, but usually Gearbox, we see it like San Diego Comic-Con or something like that, right? And it goes over better. It's a panel. They show a trailer or something like that. People are there and they're crazy and it's amped or whatever. Doing it this way is kind of like, all right, you know what I mean? Some of the stuff you're showing us now, we already saw the Summer Game Fest. Why are we doing this again? Ubisoft was the same way. Like one of the biggest things that they showed was Far Cry. We had already seen Far Cry, and then we got Far Cry again at Xbox. It was just kind of like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what are you doing? Even Xbox having Battlefield, yes, we got to see gameplay, but we had already had Battlefield revealed already, like earlier in the week. Like it just, I think everybody kind of being in a position where they were trying to produce their own things anyway. And then some of them were just terribly put together. You have companies that don't traditionally do something like that. That the E3 to ESA probably reached out to and was like, listen, we're going to do E3. It's going to be all digital. Can y'all put something together? And they put it together. And it was like, because again, Square's conferences usually are whack. They're boring because they're Tokyo Game Show based. You know what I mean? And they just don't fit the Western audience style of what we expect and what we want to get. And so them doing a digital one was like, okay. You know what I mean? Like, and a lot of them are still struggling to put that stuff together. Where traditionally, the majority of anything that Square had to show you would have been at Sony's conference. Sony doesn't have a conference, right? They did a marketing deal with Sony, and since Sony's not at E3, they either have to do their own thing or they can't show their games because they can't put them on Microsoft stage because they did a marketing deal with Sony. So I think it's tricky, right? Okay, said. I mean, Microsoft Showcase was cool. No Sony. Nintendo was weak. Square was weak. Ubisoft was all right. I just wasn't excited. And listen, 100%. I think Microsoft Show was fire.
Yep.
I think Microsoft Show this year is the best show they've done in probably since the first time they revealed the Kinect. Probably. I think this is the best show that they've ever done. They've just gotten better at just giving you games. Like, somebody gonna come out and say something, but then we just gonna show you a rack of games, right? Just
okay.
Compared to what anybody else did.
No,
30 games. 30 games.
27 in Game Pass.
30 games, 27 of them, if you have Game Pass, you playing them day one. That's incredible in and of itself. But you could just put that in a press conference. Here's 30 games. Not a press. You could just put that in
and that joint would make the internet blow up.
Yeah. I mean, Marcus, I hear you. I think E3 was I think the other part of it is I think you have Jeff Keighley out there really trying to battle with them and trying to ape it and steal E3. I really do feel like he's trying to take that away from them and do his own thing. And look, more power to him, right? But there are certainly things that Jeff Keighley showed at Summer Game Fest that could have, probably should have, or would normally have been at E3.
E3.
He is clearly beefing with them because up until last year, like E3 got canceled, but before it got canceled, he was like, I'm out and I'm not doing it no more. Maybe they didn't want to give him the money or, whatever it is. But generally, he's the one who's running the show for E3, getting all the exclusive stuff or whatever. But he's the one who did the hard work and built the relationships. Sure, it's E3 and people are coming because that's there, but
now when you have that person that was that connection, you trusted them to feed everything to it. It's just like, hey, I'm doing my own thing now, so we're gonna get out ahead of you. We're gonna get out ahead of E3.
Kojima wasn't at E3. He was at Summer Game Fest. Announcing,
and that joint goes all through the summer. So I was like, that joint goes all through the summer. So even
if the other thing, it goes all through the summer, right? So I think that's the other thing, is that because of the way last year, especially, showed developers that they don't necessarily have to have E3, that they can get a pop just by doing their own YouTube thing or making an announcement, and media picks it up and says, hey, so-and-so is doing a conference, we're going to watch it, we're going to tune in, and we'll give you all the information or whatever. They still get the lift. There's stuff that, again, probably would have normally been announced at E3 that we're not going to hear from until next month and until August, because that joint runs through like the middle of August, the end of August, is Summer Game Fest. So there's stuff that Keighley probably already did deals with that is like, nah, I want this on my joint. And it was like, all right, bet. You know what I mean? And you have these other people. You even have media conglomerates like IGN doing their own thing. It's not Summer Game Fest. It's, I don't know, like GameSpot is doing Play for All, and IGN has Summer of Gaming or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, it's all, everybody's trying to get their own exclusive stuff and, whatever. I think it just makes it more convoluted. I would personally much rather see it just be E3. Just give me everything in that week. Just give it to me. But that's not the direction the industry is going in. That's just not what's happening anymore. Realistically, I guess let me ask y'all: should Sony be participating in E3?
I think they should. I mean, they don't want to do anything for themselves other than the state of plays. The state of plays, honestly, are garbage. Like, they'd be better off being at E3. Whatever, even if it's 2 titles that you have that are huge, you have a better pop at it doing it at E3 than you would on your own stage. Because at this point, I don't even care for the state of plays. Like, I'll just let them go and hear what they have to say afterwards, because almost every single one of them has been garbage.
I think when they do them and they're more focused, again, they're like more or less just kind of aping what Nintendo Directs are and what they do. But like when they do one like they did last time for like Horizon, where it's just, we're going to focus on this game and give you the information and so forth, I think that works better.
That works better.
That is way better than them trying to show you like, I don't know, 7 or 8 different things over a half hour time or whatever. But even with Horizon, it was like, there's no date. There was no date. They didn't tell you anything, which is probably the worst thing about what Microsoft's conference was. As well as Halo showed, there was no date.
It's still holiday.
They said holiday, but they didn't give you a day.
And that still bugs me now at this point.
So much of what they did announce had dates, had actual dates. So the fact that it doesn't have a date is a little scary. And it's like, all right, well, when is it coming? Are they waiting to see when the new Call of Duty is dropping?
That could be a potential.
Are they just making sure they try to give Battlefield some breathing room because they already did do a deal for it to come in the Game Pass?
I think they're just trying to wig. I think they're just trying to make sure Halo gets in a spot that's kind of to themselves. Because like right now, September is off limits. I don't care who you are right now. September is packed with games.
Gotta change.
Ridiculous. I would not, if somebody's, they're going to have to change dates. Because like, I swear to you, there's a game coming out at least 2 or 3 games coming out almost every single week in September.
Coming out. I mean, look, I would honestly be more convinced that stuff is going to get pushed back if it wasn't for the fact that I feel like a lot of this stuff that is coming was stuff that was supposed to come last year or earlier this year. And these dates they gave us are the pushback dates. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like these are the third date, second date, you know, whatever. I'm gonna do something real quick. God, dog. Hey, dog.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so ready. All right. I was excited about this. I'm not even sure why. I don't even really know what it is. I'm hearing it's third person, and that it's not first person.
Interesting. Okay.
That it's like a different style of game that does follow some of the. It has the tropes of Borderlands, but it's not the exact same game. It's not Borderlands, which I think is cool. I'm gonna play Sea of Thieves again.
Yep.
And this is why. Story content, and they actually do have some story content in there now.
Yeah, we haven't played it.
This is why I'm going to play Sea of Thieves. Do those deals. Now let's talk about this for a second. You don't do deals like that unless you have numbers to show to somebody like Disney and put up the money to say, we want this.
You guys looking good.
That's what you do. Mark my words. Assassin's Creed, Black Flag, Sea of Thieves crossover. It's coming.
Ooh. That'd be dope.
All right, let's talk about this. All right, hold on. Let's talk about this first. These are all the games that are coming to Game Pass this year. These are all the games coming to Game Pass this year. Some of which are available in demo right now.
Mm-hmm.
If you ain't on Xbox, go on your Xbox and go to the demo section. They dropped a ton of demos today. And they're up for like a week. Tunic is all kinds of stuff. Sable's in there already. That was in there a couple days ago. But again, Like a Dragon's already there. You have Dark Alliance coming again.
Yep.
And here, listen, Like a Dragon, single player, Japanese story-driven RPG. I'm just saying. Dark Alliance. Western RPG, 4 players. Co-op. Come in, let's play together. The Ascent. 4-player. Co-op. Come in and play together. Right? Hades. Single player. Story-driven. Coming to Game Pass.
Seeing the pattern.
Story-driven. Again, I don't think Microsoft needs to have their own studios forced to do this. One of the things that they have been very adamant about is these studios that they've been picking up. They are not forcing them to make games that they like. We're having studios that are working on these things, but when we buy a studio, we're letting them continue to do what they do.
They do.
We're going to let, you know what I'm saying? Psychonauts 2 is going to be Psychonauts because we're going to let them do them. Origami, Sable. I don't even know what that is. Scorn, Back for Blood. Bruh, that's a power get. That's a power
get. Pass, absolutely, yeah.
People have been begging for Left 4 Dead 3.
The numbers on that are going to be ridiculous when it drops.
It's just Among Us. It's a big deal.
Big deal.
It's a big deal, right? Hello Neighbor, dog. Like, that's kids are playing that stuff. Kids are playing Five Nights at Freddy's, bruh. Like, they not
true.
This is what they know. The gunk. I don't even know what that is.
It's a Game Pass though.
I'm gonna probably play it.
You gonna find out what it is?
Flight Simulator, dog. July 27th, which I'm positive that in the showcase they didn't give us a date. This didn't come until after the fact.
Okay.
Psychonauts in August. Age of Empires, that's PC, but October 28th. Forza Horizon 5. Let me tell you something. Forza Horizon 5 won most anticipated game of the entire show for E3. Over Halo, over Starfield, over everything Nintendo showed. The joint with the cars. You can't tie, a character and I can't get emotionally tied to it. That joint won the most anticipated game. That joint looks incredible.
Oh, it looks insane.
Incredible.
You'll be losing
How
races.
is that the most anticipated game?
You're gonna lose races, stopping and looking at the views in the game.
Why do you have to have single player story driven? Like why? So here we go. That's all the available today. Again, that was a few days ago. They dropped all the Bethesda joints. That was the day of the conference. That was Sunday. Play this day one this year. So you see all those titles there in the center, and then all the stuff that's coming in the future. Outer Worlds 2, Contraband, Starfield, Redfall, Replaced. Like, dog, it's just they showed all of these joints at that one conference.
Yeah.
And all of them seem meaningful in the ways that they did them.
Dog, that conference was fire. That Party Animals joint, we was like, man, this joint like Game Beast. Apparently, that joint has been on PC in like a beta form for over a year.
Oh, damn.
Okay.
And people are like, young, they love it. Atomic Heart, I'm not even sure what's going on in that jump.
Yeah, they're calling like a Russian Fallout.
I'm gonna play that joint. That's what Stalker was. Stalker 2. You know what I mean? Like, dog, the lineup. I'm in there.
You know what I see when I see all that? You know what I see? I see something bigger than that little 1 terabyte expansion. Because Jesus Christ.
Facts, bro.
You ain't never lie, bro.
Facts, bro. They got to do something.
Because that damn flight sim by itself.
Xbox won E3. They had the best conference.
Clearly, yeah.
Easily. They had essentially game of show. And they doing another joint tomorrow. The program's not done yet. They're not done yet. They still got like 4 studios they didn't even announce anything from. Like Compulsion Games that did like We Happy Few, we don't even know like what they doing.
And now I think this is where like your prediction was they were going to talk about some acquisitions, and they did not do that on the main stage. But I feel like in this zone, I feel like
they might drop it.
This is a game. Hey, here's a game coming to you from this new studio that we have, and just drop it. I think they're going to do it here. Like
they could listen realistically. If they don't, I'm telling you, another acquisition is coming before the end of the summer. I'm positive. All I think all it is that the ink either wasn't dry yet, and they didn't get it done in time for them to be able to show it at the showcase or do it for this week. But they certainly could. I mean, whatever this is, it's pre-recorded.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like it's, you know what I mean. So, yeah, like they went in, and it could be that they announced something with Kojima because that's still a heavily rumored rumor. We'll have to see. Why do y'all think PlayStation doesn't do E3?
We've been trying to put our finger on this, like every possible excuse or whatever. I feel like they've just gotten so far behind the 8 ball now that it's like, I wonder if they feel like that they just can't come out and just throw something out there that's going to really excite people, get people behind doing it. I know PlayStation. Fanboy PlayStation base is huge, and I feel like if they come up there, everyone is going to go absolutely nuts. But there's some, I don't know what it is behind scenes that it's just now they just feel like they're bigger than everybody. Like they feel like they're more important.
Like they're Rockstar.
Like they're like they're a Rockstar. But like
Rockstar don't generally do E3.
They don't.
They just don't. Because
the only thing they do is Grand Theft.
They can drop a screenshot right now.
Grand Theft Auto 6. Grand Theft Auto 6 will destroy the internet. It'll be one single picture. It won't even be the name. It'll be a number. It'll literally either be the number 6 or the Roman numeral 6, whichever way they want to do it, and the internet's gonna be on fire. But PlayStation just like at this point, I want them to be there because this is one of the big gaming shows of the year, and you want to have all of your big competitors and everyone there showing off the latest and greatest. But I think PlayStation has just, I think the ego now with PlayStation has just, it's grown so much, and they've backed themselves up to the point that they just don't know what to do anymore.
I will say that like it almost feels like the star player not showing up for practice. You know what I'm saying, or something like that. Like,
but then they want to come. But then when it's game time, it does kind of feel that way. But then game time, they want to come show up, but then they flop and fail.
Or not. I mean, they're not flopping and failing though. You know what I mean? Like that's, you know what I mean? Like, but I think that maybe that. Originally, I thought that part of the reason why they weren't doing it was because they were doing PlayStation Experience. and that was a way for them to speak directly to their fan base, have people come out and spend a couple of days and announce what they want to announce, and it made more sense for them to do that, and they probably could make money doing that.
I'm cool with that.
You know, make money,
but cool.
but
yeah,
but
did the last time they do one, they had like 4 games there.
Huh?
Did the last time they do one, there was like 4 games there.
I think it was the year after. I think the one that we went to when we saw it in the theater. I feel like the year after that, I feel like was the last one.
I think the last one they did those 4 games or whatever, and people kind of trashed them for that, like all this, and y'all just showed 4 games for the entire time. Then they stopped showing up after that. Like, no.
But again, I think the thing about that was that for them, it wasn't really about having a conference for all the people who weren't there. It was about having an experience that people could go out on the floor and play. It was almost like having a mini E3 where, like, you know, the problem with something like E3, like we've always talked about going to E3. The problem with something like E3 is that if you go, you'll spend the majority of your time just waiting in a line trying to play something, right? And as they opened it up to the public, it got even harder, right, to do that, because really E3 is a press event. I think that them doing PlayStation Experience was about, let's take our games and put them on the floor and let the fans come out and play them. So like imagine like MagFest, but it's all PlayStation. It's only PlayStation. It's just all these kiosks or whatever you can walk up to and you can just play these games. You go and you stay for the weekend in Vegas or whatever it is, and you hang out with a bunch of other people that just love PlayStation. They give you a bunch of swag. You get a t-shirt and a lanyard, you know what I'm saying, and a hat and you know whatever, and it just you feel like you're a part of something or whatever. And I do think stuff like that is important. I do. But I don't think it's I think E3 is important though. I do think that I think they should be at E3.
They should absolutely be at E3.
I think they should be at E3. Especially when E3 is digital. Again, listen, my understanding is that E3 was still charging people like an insane amount of money to be a part of E3. That's a little tricky.
Yeah, that's not going to work going forward.
But again, you're talking about Sony, who is also like, we're not doing crossplay unless you pay us. We're PlayStation. We shouldn't have to pay to be at E3. You should pay us to be there.
All these decisions will be coming back to haunt them, and they are.
But it also, again, was one of those things where, like, I remember Microsoft bought Nokia, and Nokia owned the theater, Nokia Theater. And traditionally, Sony had always done their press conference in the Nokia Theater. And so that first year that Microsoft bought them, and they changed the name to the Microsoft Theater. Sony had to do their press conference at the E3 at the Microsoft Theater.
That was funny.
That's,
That's funny, sit at the table moment.
So then they had to find another place to do it, and they did that. And then they had to find another place to do it. And the last time they were there, they did that thing where they had like people traveling from like to like 3 different.
That's what I was talking about. Yeah, that was the one with the 4 games they showed for the whole time. Yeah.
And Jones was terrible.
Yeah.
It was terrible. I still think they should be a part of it. I mean, even if all they did was say, yeah, we're doing a state of play. And it's happening on E3. The Monday of E3. You know what I mean? Like it's at our regular time. It's Monday night. You know what I'm saying? E3 or whatever. Like, and if you want to go to the theater and watch it, you can. Like, why would that be?
Easy
like my memories have been popping up with us with the lanyards and the you know
lanyards,
what I'm saying, stuff at the theater watching the PlayStation conference. Like, where y'all at, man?
That was a good time.
I'm about to say that was a real cool experience to do.
Just to be in there with other.
I'm glad we got to have that experience. Just going to the theater and
a couple of times.
Yeah, watching the Sony conference on the big screen, like with a bunch of other people, so you
kind of felt like you were there. And nerding out when these things popped up on screen. Yeah, it was a great time.
Dropping the ball, Sony.
I agree. I think they'll get it back, though. I will say that. I think they'll get it back. We'll see what they do with the next day to play. All right, listen, we need to wrap this up. So here's the deal. This weekend, virtual Comic-Con, June 18th through 20th. So let me just say now, happy Juneteenth. It's also happy birthday, Sin.
Thank you.
Hey.
Also happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there.
Yes.
This weekend, there's going to be a con for you to watch virtually if you want to do that during all of this. We have a bunch of program that we've been working on and putting together. So here's how it rolls out. Red Valkyrie interview. Yeah, man, they are wild. I'm gonna check out Red Valkyrie. We have an interview with the folks from Red Valkyrie. That's gonna air Friday at 8 p.m. It'll be on all our regular channels. It'll also be it'll be through Virtual Comic Con. They have an auction that's happening on the 19th. So we want to make sure that people tune into that so they get the information and can tune into the auction. We have our good friend Jaco Tartaruga. We interviewed. His interview goes live. He's a dope artist. His interview goes live Saturday at 10 a.m. We have our good friend Playful Gorilla, the homie Alex. His interview goes live Saturday at 7 p.m. The Being Comfortable Being a Geek panel, also Saturday at 7 p.m. We're just going to run them. And then the top 10 wrestling finishers, Saturday at 8 p.m. So we got a bunch of content that's going up, that's going live all throughout the weekend. Everything will be scheduled and be running. We'll have it there for you guys to go and check out. Please do just that. Please go and check out this content. There's a lot of other content that's happening for Virtual Comic Con as a whole. So, if you happen to be home, over the weekend, just jump on Facebook, search Virtual Comic Con, join up, check out what they have. There's a lot of people jumping in and playing on Twitch. We got Twitch going on Friday night.
Thanks, Marcus.
People can tune in for that too. Frosty is playing with her sister. They're playing It Takes Two for Virtual Comic Con. So there's a lot of stuff, a lot of content, a lot of stuff there. Make sure you go and check them out on Facebook. Jokes, you got a job to do.
Gotcha.
There's the link tree. Y'all jump in the link tree. Make sure you are following us across everything. Join the MCU chat because that's Spoiler Boys.
Spoiler Boys.
That thing is live, man. I don't know. Did y'all watch Loki yet?
No,
episode 2?
I slacked. I fell asleep watching episode 2. I have not done that before.
It's been a long week though. We did a
lot of coverage. It's been a
long week.
So I have to rectify that when we finish because I seen pieces of it, and when I seen something, I was like,
"Hey, bro, rectify it." All I'm gonna say is, if you seen Spoiler Boys for episode 1, your homie might have called it. That's all I'm gonna say. You want to check out Spoiler Boys now? There's like 22 minutes of Spoiler Boys is available in MCU chat if you want to check that out. But if you want the full hour, and trust me, you want the full hour,
you gotta go to Patreon.
So please go to Patreon, check us out. That just helps us keep doing all the things that we're doing. We want to donate more time to doing it, and we have traveling to do and cons to go visit and interviews to work out and snacks to buy, and we need y'all help. So check us out there. If you're watching in one spot, do us a favor and and so forth. There is apparently an option in Facebook now to subscribe so you get a notification when we go, and I don't know, it's a little tricky, but if you see it, do it. I guess
it sounds like you're old school. It sounds like you need to hit the ding-a-ling bell. You haven't said that. You haven't said that in a long time.
But I don't think Facebook has a bell. Ding-a-ling button. Yeah. So please do that. There is something popping off coming up about a month from now in our anime chat, which you can also get to from the link tree. Please share with the people what's going on with that.
Yeah, with the Olympics being in Tokyo this year, we're going to celebrate sports anime. So we're just going to talk about them in general and focus on some of the 5 bigger ones. Haiku for volleyball, Kuroku's basketball for basketball, Hajime no Ippo for boxing, Free for swimming, and Yowamushi's pedal for cycling. It's going to be a fun, great conversation. So if you're into anime, please join Anime Chat and tune in on the 17th of July, 8 p.m.
That'll be dope. Speaking of the 17th of July, on the 18th of July, we're having a little bit of a gathering. We're getting some folks together to go watch Black Widow. We're going to be out in Loudoun County at the Alamo Draft House. If you would like to join us, we are doing something called the Loading Snacks Movie Club. where we're going to have a movie of the month. At the end of the month, we'll get together and we'll have a conversation that'll be in a format similar to this. Ask to join. It is a private chat. We only want people who are members of the actual movie club because we want to make sure that we keep conversations of the things that are happening with the movies that we're viewing at the time and for the month. But if you jump in there, my man, Marcus got his ticket. If you jump in there, there's a link that was posted by one of our co-hosts for the event and for the club itself, who is Mari. She made a post. If you click that, it literally takes you to the showing and the time and everything. You don't have to change anything or whatever. All you have to do is pick your seats and buy your ticket. That's it. Boom. That particular show, I don't know if you noticed or not when you went and bought a ticket. That particular show is one that has captions. So this is going to be, what's up, Wiz? This is going to be a showing of Black Widow that has captions. Now, look, this is happening on the 18th. We're more than halfway through the month at this point, and I'm going to assume that with Disney Plus and the way we are, most of y'all are going to have already seen the movie anyway, okay? But we also felt like, given the opportunity, this is a great opportunity for us to do something that would be inclusive. And so we're doing a version of the movie that does have captions. If people don't mind and it turns out that it's cool or whatever, then maybe we'll do it the same way the next time we do something like this. We'll continue to look at it, but you know, we pride ourselves on trying to be as inclusive as possible. And so this is gonna have captions. Just want to give you a heads up on that. But please feel free to join us. I mean, it's a movie theater, it's family. So if you got family, you want to buy tickets and bring your family, whatever, you can absolutely do that. I'm bringing mine. Like that's how that goes. It's a little far, but it'll be worth the trip. When you buy your ticket, you can also purchase your food, and they'll just bring the food to you at your table. That's how Alamo Draft House is. I don't know if everybody's familiar with that, but it's cool. It's gonna be a good look. So we think that'll be fun. So look out for that from us. Sin, you got a job to do. Could you do that for me, please?
Sure. Let's shout out our top tier patrons, starting with Anthony Cunningham, Marcus Houston, Susan Dorsch, and Tyrone Carson. Thank you very much. We truly, truly appreciate it.
It's a fact. We really do. Again, we are working more content, more new things. The movie club very quickly grew in number of people who are in it. Which tells me that we probably need to do a movie club shirt. I'm working on it. If you would like to purchase a shirt, purchase some merch from us. It doesn't have to be a shirt. There's all kind of merch available. All kind. The shop is there. Hey, Jokes, if you could take that link and put it in the actual chat so people have it direct, can click directly on that, I'd appreciate it. When you go to the merch shop, again, it's merch. It's not just shirts. You can choose a logo. There are 4 different logo designs that are there. There's one that's in kanji. There's the original Loading Snacks. There are 2 versions of a Pride Loading Snacks logo. There are shirts. There are hoodies. There are baby onesies. There are water bottles. There are phone cases,
bandanas, hats.
Yeah, the backpacks, hats. There's all kinds of stuff there. When you go, just kind of break it down. Look at all the kind of different stuff you might want to have. There's duffel bags, like pajamas. There's all kinds of stuff in there. Tie-dye shirts,
mugs,
sweat wicking shirts, tank tops. It's in there. It's in there.
There's something for everyone.
And the majority of the designs have multiple colors available for the shirts and so forth. So, by all means, do that. Yeah, if I could have a Loading Snacks merch, like a game pass, like a merch pass, we'll hook y'all up, man. We'll hook y'all up. Merch pass. Might have to work on something for the future with that. Again, listen, the response to the merch shop has been truly overwhelming. I want to thank everybody again for jumping in and grabbing merch. We really do appreciate it. We appreciate that you enjoy the merchandise enough that you would want to wear our brand. That's
huge.
That really is a big deal. If you've gotten merch, take pictures, tag us.
Yes.
Hashtag Loading Snacks merch. Tag us in it. Love to see it. Would love to repost it.
Get this dude a straw hat with the Loading Snacks logo on it. Get this dude.
We'll find a black band with the logo on it. That's all I need.
We'll find a way. You know what I mean? We could do something.
Represent.
I said, you're gonna have to call me late. Yes, J. Robert Deans, you are late. We about to be gone. We about to be off. Yeah. So again, virtual Comic-Con this weekend. I'll make sure you tune in for all the content we put together. We have some really good interviews again with some really great people. We just want to make sure we get the word out. Thank you again for the merch and for the support on Patreon and so forth. We have some new stuff coming. We got the show and tell show coming. It's just gonna be small, little ones all, but we have a lot of stuff. Like we collect stuff. We have a lot of stuff. We want to show y'all our stuff.
Yes,
that probably didn't sound right. We want to show you the things we've been collecting. And so we're working on putting some stuff together. We have stuff that's already uploaded. It's just in the editing and so forth process. We're trying to get new music for it and title stuff and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So just keep your eyes peeled. It's coming. I think that's everything. If it's not, there's a lot. And so if I miss something, I'll catch you on the next one. I swear.
There'll be a post somewhere.
J. Robert Deans is gonna be drawing. You're drawing pages for virtual Comic-Con? Is that what I'm understanding here, J. Robert Deans? And if so, when?
That's the case, yeah.
What day? Y'all make sure y'all are following J. Robert Deans. Oh man, Marcus want that piece of beat down so bad, bro.
Hey,
hey, listen, we're working on some things. We don't know if they're gonna stay fighting games. We're working on some things. We'll see. But just know that Beats and Beatdowns is on just like a mini hiatus. Drawing 4 books. Well, yeah, that's a lot. It's keeping you busy. Yeah. That's okay. But again, J. Robert Deans is working on 4 books, so make sure you follow him so you know when those books drop. He also has a Patreon. You can see a lot of stuff. He also has a TikTok.
You got the TikTok.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? 4 books in 11 weeks, man. That's a lot. That's a lot. They trying to get stuff together for Baltimore. I know you're gonna be at Baltimore Comic-Con, so that's dope. I might say pulling a One Piece. Be careful, Marcus.
Somebody skating on ice.
Be careful, Marcus. You know what I mean? All right, y'all. Listen, we greatly appreciate you all tuning in. It's always a good time. We had a really, really good conversation today, and I love that. We want to keep doing that. That's what this is about. It's a community. We want to talk to each other and have a good time. So we're gonna keep doing just that. With that, we are out. Toodles and Lose.